You ever see one of those warehouse workhorses zipping around and wonder what it really takes to get behind the controls? Well, it's definitely more than just a quick lesson. Today, we're going to unlock the very first and maybe the most critical step, the theory and the test that every single aspiring forklift operator has to pass. So let's dive in.
So, maybe you're thinking about a career that puts you in the driver's seat, or maybe you're an employer trying to get your team certified. It can seem like a whole big thing, but you know what? The knowledge part, the theory, it's actually more accessible than you'd think, especially now. Let's break down exactly how it works. First up, the big why. Why is this training totally non-negotiable? Well, it all boils down to two huge things: safety and the law. And believe me, when you're talking about operating heavy machinery, these are not just suggestions. They are serious requirements. Okay, first things first, let's get the lingo right. We all call them forklifts, right? But the official term, the one that regulators like OSHA use, is powered industrial truck. Now this covers a whole family of equipment, and the rules we're about to talk about, they apply to every single one of them. And this quote right here from OSHA, that's the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, this gets to the very heart of it. It couldn't be clearer. It's not about just learning on the job as you go. Experience alone is not enough. The law mandates a formal, structured process.
And that whole process, it's really built on three essential pillars. First, you've got the formal instruction. That's the theory, the classroom part that we're really focusing on today. Then comes the practical training, where you actually get your hands on the machine. And finally, the operator evaluation, which is basically a test of your real-world skills. You have to master all three of these to get certified.
So if that formal instruction is step one, what in the world is on the curriculum? What do you actually have to know? Let's take a look at the core blueprint of knowledge you're going to need to master.
The theory covers a ton of critical topics. I mean, from the nuts and bolts of the forklift's parts and controls, all the way to the physics of stability and how to handle a load properly. You'll also learn those crucial daily routines like your pre-op checks and exactly how to park safely. This stuff is the foundation for absolutely everything else you'll do on that machine.
Now, one of the most critical concepts, and you'll hear this a lot, is the stability triangle. So picture an imaginary triangle between the two front wheels and the center of the rear axle. As long as the combined center of gravity, that's the forklift and its load, stays inside that triangle, you're golden, you're stable. But the second it moves outside, maybe from turning too fast or carrying a load too high, a tip over is almost guaranteed. Understanding this isn't just theory, it's what keeps you and everyone around you safe, for real. You know, in the past, learning all this theory meant you were sitting in a physical classroom for hours. But today, technology has completely changed the game, making that first pillar of certification way more accessible than it has ever been before.
The best way to think about it is like getting your driver's license. The online course is kind of like your written test. It teaches you the rules of the road, the why behind everything you do. But you still have to pass that in-person driving test, the hands-on evaluation, to prove you can actually do it safely. The awesome part about online training is the flexibility. You can learn at your own pace, anytime, anywhere.
And you know what? Getting started is surprisingly affordable. Most of the standard OSHA-compliant online theory courses are going to be in the ballpark of, say, $40 to $60. And that usually covers all your learning modules, the exam, and that certificate of completion for the theory part.
Okay, so you've finished the online course. Now it's time to prove you actually soaked up all that information. Let's take a closer look at what the test itself is like.
The typical theory exam is pretty straightforward, really. You're usually looking at about 25 questions total, a mix of around 20 multiple choice and maybe 5 open-ended questions. This format is designed to test two things. Can you recall specific facts? And can you explain the important safety concepts in your own words? So, what's the magic number you're aiming for? To pass this theory exam, you have to get a minimum score of 80%. And that's not just some random number. It's the benchmark that proves you have a really solid grasp of the essential safety knowledge before you even think about hopping on the machine. Oh, and yeah, you'll be working against the clock. The standard time limit is 30 minutes. Now, that's plenty of time if you've studied the material, but it does mean you need to show up prepared and ready to focus. No time for hemming and hawing. So you passed the theory test, you aced the practical test. You're done, right? Well, not exactly. Passing isn't the finish line. It's the starting point. Certification is an ongoing commitment to safety, and it's a responsibility you carry with you every single day on the job.
Your initial certification is good for 3 years. After that, you'll need to get reevaluated to make sure your skills are still sharp. And what's more, if you're ever in an accident or even a near miss, refresher training is mandatory. Same thing if your boss assigns you to a totally different type of forklift. See, safety is a continuous practice, not a one-and-done achievement.
And that brings us to our last and maybe the most important question of all. Does a piece of paper, a certificate, create a safe operator, or does a safety mindset? The certificate is proof you did the training, for sure. But it's that safety-first mindset that you develop that truly protects you and everyone you work with. The theory is the foundation, but committing to using it every single day, that's what makes a true professional.